Good day. My name is Shay Costello. I'm the Careers Hub Operations Lead here in Hertfordshire, and I'll be taking you through your Careers Leader induction today. So, what are we going to be doing today? We're going to talk about who the Careers and Enterprise Company are. So, the Careers and Enterprise Company was set up about 10, 11 years ago now, off the back of something called the Gatsby Report, which was a report commissioned by the government where an ex-head teacher of Watford Boys School, so Professor John Holman, went around different countries around the world, Europe, Canada, and elsewhere, and took together all of the best practice of careers education, pulled them into something called the Gatsby Report. They then evolved into the Gatsby benchmarks of careers education that all schools nationally are now working towards. And the Careers and Enterprise Company was set up off the back of that to help support schools work towards the Gatsby benchmarks. I'm also going to talk about a few different roles. So I'm going to talk about Enterprise Advisor, which are volunteers from local industry who are there to support careers leaders, which we'll talk about in depth. I'm also going to talk about Enterprise Coordinators, who are members of my team who will help support your careers programs in schools. I'm going to talk about the 8 Gatsby benchmarks, which have nothing to do with the Great Gatsby. Also going to talk through Compass and Compass Plus, which are our digital benchmarking tools used to benchmark against the Gatsby benchmarks. Going to talk through performance and some hub data. Also going to talk through and introduce you all to HOP. HOP is the Hertfordshire Opportunities Portal, which is our one-stop shop for all things careers education here in Hertfordshire. Absolutely fantastic resource, and we're very lucky to have it. Not all areas have an equivalent, so make sure you're utilising it. And I'll run through a few of the good features on there later on. Also going to talk through some problem solving, some resources, and some key dates. So resources, there is a resource directory on the Careers and Enterprise Company website. There's also a resources for careers leader section on HOP as well, which has a bit more local lens to the resources there. So some of our national objectives set by the Careers and Enterprise Company this year is around continuous improvement. So we do that by backing the new updated Gatsby benchmarks. We're also rolling out the Careers Impact System, which I'll talk about in detail a bit later on. And we're also driving employer standards. Employer standards are a free self-assessment tool for employers who are doing education outreach, and it highlights what they're doing well, highlights where they can do more, and then signposts them to resources and how to do more. So it's really useful for any employers that are supporting your careers programs. We also are driving the Future Skills Questionnaire, which is a really powerful tool in Compass Plus, and that's to capture your student voice and to identify gaps to see what's sticking in your careers provision in schools. We're also supporting work experience and the modern work experience and the work experience guarantee. So the government has a new initiative that they want all young people to have 10 days worth of workplace experiences by the end of year 11. Worth noting that doesn't have to be in one chunk. That can be lots of short, sharp experiences. And the idea is to be trialing new methods of work experience. So lots of short, sharper encounters adding up to that 10 days worth of workplace experiences. We have recruited a modern work experience lead, and they will be working with 15 of the most disadvantaged schools to trial out some of these new methods of modern work experience. We're also there to boost apprenticeships and technical pathways. So we do that by connecting schools with networks, so including the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network, STEM Ambassador Network, and T-level ambassadors. We also do a lot of work with Amazing Apprenticeships, which we're quite lucky in Hertfordshire. They are actually based in Hertfordshire, and they are like a national provider, a national advocate of apprenticeships in England. So supporting continuous improvement is the Careers Impact System and the new Gatsby benchmarks. And then we're driving employer standards and modern work experience utilizing the EqualX framework. So our role as a hub, we're there to build networks, mainly the Enterprise Advisor Network. So those volunteers who will be supporting your careers programs, they're there to be that voice of industry and to help close that gap between education and employment. We also support careers leaders. So our enterprise coordinators from my team will meet with you once per term. and support you in any way that we can. And we're also there to back the GAPSI benchmarks. So the makeup of the team for the hub here in Hertfordshire, there's myself and Steve Trotter as hub leads. Then we have our enterprise coordinators. So first up, Chris Doughton. He's enterprise coordinator for Broxbourne, East Herts, Watford, Hertsmere, and the FE colleges in Hertfordshire. Heidi Stroud, who's enterprise coordinator for Stevenage, North Herts, Bishop Stortford, Welland Garden City, and Hatfield schools. And Caitlin Coogan, who's enterprise coordinator for St Albans, The Coram, Watford, Hertsmere, and Three Rivers. And Alicia Loxley, who's enterprise coordinator for our special schools and our ESCs or PRUs. Also in the hub team, we have our modern day work experience lead, Erica Hodges, and Denise Manning, our future ready project officer. So that is the team here in Hertfordshire, and we are here to help you. So what is an enterprise advisor? So enterprise advisor, as I said, it's a volunteer from local industry, and they're there to be that voice of industry to help make your careers programs as real world as possible and to close that gap between education and employment. I'm just going to play you a short video where you'll hear from a few different enterprise advisors about the enterprise advisor role.
Helping to change the system, helping schools shape the future. The role of an enterprise advisor has such huge capacity to impact the lives of young people.
It's about making connections between schools and the world of work, making students aware of the different pathways and opportunities that are available.
The value an enterprise advisor brings to all of this is that they bring a set of eyes that a school or college may not have.
To help the careers leads understand the needs of tomorrow's workforce.
It gives me the personal growth to be able to deal with much greater things than I could without the role.
We work very closely with career advisors to make sure their programs are relevant and up to date with both policy and at the same time curriculum guidance as it pertains to industry.
Linking employers and education together is absolutely vital. It enables schools, teachers, everybody to stay up to date with what is current, with what is now, because after all, they're at school learning. What are they going to do with their GCSEs and A-levels afterwards? So what an EA brings is really valuable.
It's really important to me that young people have the opportunity to explore the world of work, and this is an entitlement for everybody. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have.
If you really want to make a difference to young people and your community, then I'd recommend being an enterprise advisor over anything else.
That sums up the enterprise advisor role very well. So the structure of what we do as a hub. So we're there to be the interconnections between careers leaders and enterprise advisors. We're there to manage that network. We also have our cornerstone groups, which you can see some of the key employers and key partnerships on the screen there. So we're there to support that network, to support the careers leader with training resources, sharing best practice, and to help that employer and drive that employer engagement for your careers programs in school. So what does the EA do? So they're, as I say, they're there to be that voice of industry, to close the gap between education and employment. It might be that they are strategic experts, they're able to support with strategic input. Hopefully they will be a business expert, and they're there to help you, measure impact and outcomes and give you that business advice to make your careers program as real world as possible. They're there to help advise and evaluate around the 8 GAPSI benchmarks. To be that critical friend is really the core role of an enterprise advisor, is to be able to ask those challenging questions. Why are you doing that? The so what, the why, the what's next. Worth noting, operational delivery is not a core role of an EA, of an enterprise advisor, but it is very valued, and it is likely that they can do it. Not all enterprise advisors have the capacity to help support operationally. So it is not a requirement of the role, but it is very welcomed. They're also there to be that champion, to champion your careers program, to champion the school within their own networks, and to build relationships with the wider employers around the school and within the school. So traditionally, over the last 9 years or so, we've run what we call a matched enterprise advisor, matched EA. That's where an enterprise advisor is matched one-to-one with your school or college. We're still running that model. It works really well. We're not going to get rid of it. But we have also laid in another model, which is called an agile EA, agile enterprise advisor, and they're there to support multiple schools with short-term projects. That is working really well. So it might be that you've got a one-to-one EA who's matched. It might be that you have an agile EA. It might be that you have a vacancy, and we're currently looking for an enterprise advisor to support you. Just managing expectations there. I always want to find the right volunteer for your institution, and volunteer recruitment can take a while. So bear with us if you have a vacancy, but we are looking actively for the right EA for you. So what can an EA get involved in? They might be able to get involved in strategy. So looking at your careers program, what's going on each year, what are the aims, what's the impact, the so what and the why. It might be they can get operational support with mock interviews, mock assessment centres. It might be they're from a larger employer and they're able to support with some workplace experiences. They might be able to come in and give some talks about their routes into the industry, or about a talk that can cover provider access legislation, which I'll talk about in more detail later on. It might be that they have the specialist skills, the specialist knowledge to be able to get involved in linking careers to a curriculum subject. They might just be really good people, really innovative, have really good ideas, and they might be able to get you thinking outside the box. And they might be able to spearhead or launch an enterprise competition for your students. It might be that they can mentor a group of students from disadvantaged backgrounds. It might be they're really good networkers. They could have a massive employer network. They could be there to support an alumni or help set up business breakfast or networking sessions at your school to help engage your local employers, come up with that employer engagement strategy. So within the hub, we also run networking sessions. So we'll run different areas. We'll run different sessions throughout the year. Next ones coming up are Highly Stroud, 4th of March next week. That's going to be at Computer Centre in Hatfield. Some of the ones we ran in the past on screen there. So I organised the big one at Warner Brothers Studios in Leavesden. We're in early talks with Warner Brothers. We're hoping to bring that back in this summer. So watch this space, and that'll be hub-wide. So keep an eye out for an invite for that. Other events that we run are Hop Into Apprenticeships and T-Levels. So this is a really good event. It's on its 4th year now. And this is an event that's aimed for parents. And it's designed to break down some of that stigma that apprenticeships or technical pathways might be for those students who aren't quite good enough. That is not the case. And this event has helped to break down that stigma. So this year we had over 1,219 parents sign up. However, behind the cameras, there's generally 1, 2 parents, 1, 2, 3 children. So the numbers are actually much higher than it appears. And in the event, we have 40 different exhibitors who are all offering apprenticeships, T-levels, technical pathways, and they're there to answer any questions that the parents might have. As a careers leader, this is a really easy one to promote because we do all of the organisation. We set up all of the exhibitors. All you have to do is email the invites onto your parent network. So keep an eye out for that next year. We're hoping to run it again. We're hoping to repeat it and build upon strength from strength that has been running. Also in the hub, we run our generation events. These have become a bit of a trademark in themselves now. So we run 9 generation events across the county. There is one missing off that list, that's Generation Decorum. That happens in September. So these are regional careers fairs where we invite all schools in the region and we'll fund coaches for your most disadvantaged students. So coaches tend to be 53 seats. That's to include staff. As I say, recommend targeting your most disadvantaged students, and tends to be from year 10 up to make it as relevant as possible. And the size of the venues do vary from location to location. Largest is at 80 exhibitors and the smallest is around 35, 40. Really good events. Strongly recommend getting involved and coming along yourself as a careers leader to, steal all the good contacts that we've got in that room to do that networking and build your own employer pipeline. So careers leader role, if you've not done so already, strongly recommend getting yourself a copy of the Careers Leader Handbook. This is a Careers Leader Bible by David Andrews and Tristan Hooley. It's got everything you could possibly want to know about all things careers leadership in there, so strongly recommend that. Careers leadership role is split up into 4 main parts: so leadership, management, coordination, and networking. Talk about those in a bit more detail. So you will be leaders. You are leading the careers program. That's why you're called careers leaders. You're there to lead your team from the school. You're also there to advise senior leadership, to lead the leadership around careers, around policy, strategy, resources. You're there to review and evaluate the careers program. You're there to understand the changes that might happen, to understand the labour market, to ensure that you are complying with all of the legal requirements around careers education. You're also there to manage the careers program. So you're planning the schemes of work for careers education. You're there to support teachers in delivering the careers program. You're there to monitor what is happening delivery-wise. You're also managing the careers advisors, giving the information, advice, and guidance, the one-to-one guidance your young people are receiving. You're there to manage the staff, if you're lucky enough to have career staff. So if you've got careers administrators or admin staff or support staff, you're there to manage them as well. And if you're lucky enough to have a budget, you're there to manage that. And you're also managing not only your own CPD, but CPD for the careers team and for the teachers. So you're also there to coordinate. So you're coordinating the delivery of the careers program. You're also coordinating with your team in school. So liaising with your PSHC, your subject leaders, your SENCOs, to identify what is happening, evaluate, make sure it's good, and identify those students who might be needing that extra support, and then referring them on to your careers advisors to get that additional support. Networking is also a large part of careers leadership. So you're the point of contact in the school for your careers program. So it's on you to establish and develop those links with the local FE colleges, with apprenticeship providers, universities, and also to develop the links with employers. You're also there to manage the links with the hub, so with ourselves, and you're also there to develop your alumni network, and those alumni can then support your careers program. So if you don't have one already, strongly recommend developing an alumni network. So we spoke about careers leaders in schools. We're going to talk about a few of the other roles that might come up. So link governor, careers link governor. If you don't know who that is in your school, strongly recommend finding out, get a meeting with them, make them your best friend. They're the ones who can advocate for change from the top down. And to get change happening in school, that's the best way to get it done, is coming from the governors. There's also senior leaders. So some of you might be senior leaders in schools with careers leadership responsibilities. Equally, you might be reporting into a senior leader who has overall responsibility for the careers program. And then you have careers leaders who we've spoken about yourselves. And then there's careers advisors. So they're the people giving your traditional one-to-one careers guidance, and they need to be qualified to a level 6 in careers education advice and guidance or higher. And if you're lucky enough to have admin support, so you might have a careers administrator, or you might have some back office, some support staff who are supporting the careers program, that is another role that supports careers. So CEC, Careers and Enterprise Company, and the Careers Hub, we drive careers lead training. However, for now, it is full. There are no more spaces left. The funding is likely to come back next year. Fingers crossed. So it's fully funded level 6 careers leadership course. There's 2 routes. There's accredited and non-accredited. If you were to fund this yourself, it would cost £3,000. And there are level 6 and level 7s available. Worth noting that for Gatsby Benchmark 1, there is now a requirement to have a trained careers leader. But because the spaces are full, if you have completed the Light Bite induction on the Careers and Enterprise Company website and expressed an interest in the careers leader training, then that counts as a trained careers leader for now until next year. But you do have to then follow through on that level 6 and level 7 training. You have to go through the qualification. So the 8 Gatsby benchmarks, what are they? So Gatsby benchmark 1, stable careers program. Gatsby benchmark 2, learning from career and labour market information, LMI. Benchmark 3, addressing the individual needs of each pupil. Benchmark 4, linking curriculum learning to careers. Benchmark 5, encounters with employers and employees. And benchmark 6, experiences the workplace. Benchmark 7, encounters with FE and HE. And benchmark 8, your traditional personal one-to-one careers guidance. So Compass tools. So Compass and Compass Plus are our benchmarking tools. Compass Plus is also a career strategic planning tool and can be really powerful once it's set up. There is a bit of admin to set it up, but once it's running, it can become really, really powerful. To audit yourselves against the Gatsby benchmarks, we do that once a term towards the end of the term, so December, March, and June. And with the updated Gatsby benchmarks, we've just gone through a whole period of change in the careers education world. We're looking more towards 30 minutes to 45 minutes to complete a Compass audit. And that's ideally with a careers leader, an enterprise advisor, and your enterprise coordinator in the room to run through it all together. So Gatsby benchmarks have been pretty solid for the last 10 years. And as I've just mentioned, we've gone through a massive period of change. So the Gatsby benchmarks have all changed now. So I strongly recommend having a read through this Appendix 9 updated Gatsby benchmarks. So that's got all of the old Gatsby benchmarks crossed out with the new requirements next to them. So actually at a glance, see what the changes are. And if any of you have insomnia over the next couple of days, feel free to read through the full 67-page report where all of the changes are highlighted in detail. But I will highlight some of the changes for you now. So some of the main changes, there's a lot more around parental engagement across all of the benchmarks. That strongly recommends making use of internal leadership reviews in the careers impact system, which I'll talk about in more detail later on. Benchmark 8 for personal guidance, there is now a requirement for interviews for sixth form students. For LMI, your labour market information for benchmark 2, that is across all key stages, students and parents, and also staff as well. Benchmark 3, there's a focus around equity, and it specifies which groups. Benchmark 4, possibly one of the biggest impacted changes, is now across, so that's linking curriculum to careers. It's now across every year, every subject, staff, and CPD for staff. Some of the welcome changes, they have removed the requirement for 3 years of destinations for students leaving your school and replaced it with collecting your intended destinations and first year destinations as your students move on. So I'm just going to play a short video for you, just highlighting some of the changes in a bit more detail.
The world is changing, and so have the Gatsby benchmarks. Following 2 years of research and consultation, the benchmarks have been updated to future-proof them as the standard for world-class careers guidance for young people. The 8 benchmarks remain in place, with key refinements to the summary descriptions and measurable criteria. The principles of equality, diversity, and inclusion have been embedded across all 8 benchmarks. The updates centre around 5 key themes that emerged from extensive research and evidence. Updates to Benchmark 1 reflects the positioning of careers at the heart of education and senior leadership, and supports a whole institution approach led by a trained careers leader. Careers programmes should now detail how parents and carers will be engaged throughout, as key influencers of young people's career decisions. Updates to Benchmark 2 focus on learners, parents and staff having access to good quality, up-to-date information about future pathways, study options and labour market opportunities, making effective use of this information to ensure young people receive consistent support with their decision-making during each stage of education. Benchmark 3 has been updated to include challenging misconceptions and offering opportunities to showcase a diverse range of role models, including alumni. The tracking and recording of learners' careers programme participation and effective use of destinations data should inform tailored and personalised support for learners. Linking curriculum learning to careers has been updated in Benchmark 4 to support a whole institution approach, ensuring young people learn about career links, progression routes and the relevance of skills in all subjects. Careers should also form part of ongoing development for all staff who support young people. An updated definition of meaningful for Benchmark 5 clarifies that young people should encounter employers of various sizes and specialisms, and could focus on workplace skills or what it takes to be successful. There should also be time for learners to reflect on their learning afterwards. In Benchmark 6, a definition of meaningful has now been added to experiences of workplaces to ensure experiences have a clear purpose. There should be opportunities to meet a variety of people, perform work-relevant tasks, receive feedback with time for preparation and reflection. Benchmark 7 now explicitly includes independent training providers and technical education. An expanded definition of meaningful encounters notes they should have a clear agreed purpose, with appropriate learning outcomes, and involve two-way interaction, and the opportunity to meet both staff and learners. Updates to Benchmark 8 notes that key staff, including careers leaders, careers advisors and Senkos, are encouraged to work together to ensure personal guidance is effective and integrated into the wider careers programme. Personal guidance meetings should be scheduled to appropriately meet the needs of young people. Personal guidance arrangements should be accessible for young people and their parents. For further information and support, please visit our website.
So that highlights some of the changes, and you can start to see that if you're achieving the GATSI benchmarks, that you really are equipping your learners to help them make their best next step. So this data is from the December GATSI benchmark updates. On the left there, we have the national average in the top left at 2.7. We have our East region at 2.5, and for Hertfordshire Careers Hub, we are at 3, and that's average across the hubs and across the regions and nationally. So you can see we're slightly ahead of the curve in Hertfordshire. I don't like to say the scores have dropped because what has happened is the bar has been raised. And we are seeing some dips around specific benchmarks, especially those with the biggest changes. So benchmark 1, benchmark 4, benchmark 6 and 7. We're seeing quite a lot of changes around those with some more rigorous requirements to achieve those benchmarks in place now. So this is just a message from Jack, who's our area manager at the Careers and Enterprise Company, and he's just reiterating what I've just said about the questions have moved from 65 said benchmarks to 150. So you know, it's a much more rigorous, detailed set of criteria, and then that bar has just been raised nationally. So what can you as careers leaders do to support your schools? So one of the first things you should do is have a look through your historic Compass reports to start looking at where those gaps are and start thinking creatively about how you can start closing those gaps, so how you can start hitting those benchmarks. So have a look through on Compass Plus. That's a snapshot on the right there. And that's where you can find your historic Compass updates. So if you go into Compass evaluations, and they're all listed in order, you can go back historic, but going past September, you'll be looking at the old scores. So it might not be as relevant as the ones in December, but it's definitely worthwhile having a look and starting to plan how to fill those gaps. So this is from the new statutory guidance that came out last year. I won't read through it all. I'll just highlight some of the most important ones on there. So the Department for Education strongly recommends that schools are using the Future Skills Questionnaire as an evaluation tool for their careers programs. I spoke about this briefly earlier on. Future Skills Questionnaire is a really powerful tool in Compass Plus that enables you to capture student voice on your careers program. It's really good for gap analysis, so looking at what is sticking. So you can have the best designed careers program in the world, but if your learners are not taking in parts of it, this will highlight which parts they're not taking in, and then you can target some tailored interventions to help plug those gaps a little. DFE also strongly recommends using the Careers Impact System, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on. And for those of you who are very keen into statutory guidance, recommend reading the 1995 Summary for School Leaders. That's got, at a glance, all of the musts and shoulds. Those of you who have insomnia, please feel free to read the full 97-page document. And for those who are short on time, this blog here highlights all of the changes at a very top level. So, Careers Impact System. This is a new initiative from the Careers and Enterprise Company. It's split into two main parts. So there is the internal leadership review, which happens independently in schools, where you yourselves, careers leaders, sit down with anybody else involved in careers in the school, with your head teacher, with your SLT, with your careers administrators if you have them, with your careers advisors if they're available, and work your way through something called the careers maturity model. Now, the maturity model is split into 6 themes, all linked to the GATSB benchmarks, and there are 4 columns for each question in each theme. And the idea is that you want to achieve full maturity, which is the furthest to the right column. The reality is I don't think any schools are currently operating at that level, and this is not an inspection tool. What this is a system for continuous improvement for your careers program. So once you've done your internal leadership review, strongly recommend being as honest as possible with your answers, because as I say, it's a tool for continuous improvement. Once you've done that and loaded your answers onto Compass Plus, the hub, we will then invite you to a peer review where we will pair you up with 2 other institutions, so in a trio, and we will facilitate a day where we get head teachers, SLT, careers leaders in a room for a day and take it in turns to go through each other's maturity model. The idea is to draw upon the shared experience in the room to help overcome some of those common challenges your institutions might be facing. And then after the peer review, you'll get a summary of review action pro forma, which will highlight your highest leverage actions that have surfaced from the peer review day. That then becomes your working document on how to achieve that continuous improvement in the schools. We also then strongly recommend that you reconvene as a trio of schools, trio of institutions, to hold each other to account for those actions and to see if any other best practices have arisen from those actions. Strongly recommend getting involved. This is your golden ticket for careers at the moment. If you would like to get involved, please let myself know, let your enterprise coordinator know, and we will get the ball rolling. And this is just some of the feedback that we've had from some people taking part locally. So we've got some various different job roles on the screen there. So we've got an assistant head teacher, we've got an executive head, we've got a couple of careers leaders, and we've got an assistant head. So lots of different levels involved, and they're all giving really good feedback. Strongly recommend getting involved. That's the Careers Impact System. Looking at the modern day work experience, or the work experience guarantee. So I really like this infographic. I think it's really powerful. The idea is you start at the top of the statutory guidance, you read and digest the requirements of that, you engage with the Careers Impact System, use your internal leadership review to start strategically planning, have a look at those meaningful definitions for GATSB Benchmark 6. What does meaningful look like? Start mapping your provision against the EqualX framework, which highlights your learning outcomes, your learning objectives, and then start feeding that into your whole school development model, and then the whole cycle starts again. It starts creating that self-improvement system that we're all trying to work towards. Some of the key principles for modern work experience: in-person matters. So the government's got this vision around young people going to work. So they want people getting out into workplaces as much as possible, making it meaningful. So there is a slightly different meaningful definition for benchmarks 5, 6, and 7. For benchmark 6, essentially, there needs to be a clear vision as to what the experience is looking to achieve. There needs to be a capacity for preparing for that experience. There needs to be a series of tasks for them to complete while they're at the experience. There needs to be the opportunity for feedback from the employer, and equally the other way around for the students to give employer feedback. And then there needs to be an opportunity to reflect, to encounter multiple different job roles while they're at experience, and then reflect upon the skills that they have experienced while they're there. So what skills have they highlighted they need, and how can they develop them further? So having that time to really reflect and think about that experience, that really makes it meaningful and impactful as possible. And then the modern day work experience is looking to build that progressive program. So starting in year 7, moving through to year 8, going through to key stage 4 and on to key stage 5. Once you've gone through the whole modern work experience, the idea is you will have the skills, you will have the knowledge, and you will have the experience to be able to make your best next step. And that virtual work experience has its place, but it can't replace in person. It can't just all be virtual work experience, but it can add value to your work experience programs. So your enterprise coordinators, members of my team who can help support your careers programs in school. So what can they do? So that they're there to make careers relevant, to help translate some of the careers education language and help with any acronyms that you might come across. They're there to help audit, so help support you in running your GAPSU benchmark audits, to track and record what you're doing on Compass Plus or whatever systems you're using in school, to engage your SLT and your link governor in careers to help measure that impact. You know, the so what, the why, the what's next, to help map and signpost to resources, and to provide CPD for your careers leaders and signpost to how to get CPD for your staff in school, to help you secure time for your careers program in school, and to support with that employer engagement and manage the enterprise advisor and the enterprise advisor network that you all now have access to. Hertfordshire Opportunities Portal is the one-stop shop for all things careers education in Hertfordshire. We are very lucky to have this. Not all areas, not all hubs have a resource like this, and it is stuck full of information, full of labour market information. Tons of resources for careers leaders. There's an employer spotlight section, so you can get all kinds of information about local employers in Hertfordshire. There's tons of information about different routes into different job roles. There's also now a new careers coach section, which is an AI-powered careers coach, which is really useful for students who just aren't sure on what they want to do, or students who might be a little bit shy or maybe not come out of their shell enough to engage with a careers advisor. They might well be more comfortable to do it at home and answer a few questions online. And it will give those students scarily accurate information on what would suit their personalities, and then signpost them to the sectors, to the job roles, highlight what skills they need, highlight what experience, what qualifications they need to get into those routes. So it's a really powerful tool. Strongly recommend signposting all of your students who aren't quite sure onto Careers Coach on HOP. And we've also got resources on there for each GAPSU benchmark as well. So not only is there resources for careers leaders, there's resources for each GAPSU benchmark, and they're all a bit more of a local lens on HOP. Careers and Enterprise Company Resource Directory is really good as well, but they are national resources, whereas HOP is more localized. So this is some of the labour market information posters that we've got on HOP. So there is one for each sector, each area within Hertfordshire, and there is one for each growth priority sector as well. If you don't have these in your school, download them. They're on HOP, they're free. Feel free to put them up and put them up everywhere in your school. They are really good resources around labour market information, which is GAPSU Benchmark 2. Also on HOP, we have resources around getting ready for workplace experience. So that prep and that reflect that's now required for the meaningful definition for workplace experiences. We've got resources on how to do that on HOP. There's also some really good tools around there in acceptable workplace behavior, how to get the most out of your placement, how to audit your skills before and after, so that prep and reflect for the meaningful, it's all on there. The resources are all available. They're all out there. So the hub also runs various different events. So this is Hop into Apprenticeships and T-levels. This is in its 4th year now. So this year, it just ran in January. We had 1,219 parents sign up. And the actual numbers are much higher than that, because behind each camera, there is 1 or 2 parents, 1, 2, 3 children. So the numbers are actually much higher than that. And we had over 40 employers, providers come online to talk about apprenticeships and T-levels. This event is aimed for parents, and it's aimed to help tear down some of that stigma that still exists around apprenticeships and technical pathways being for students who aren't quite good enough. That stigma still exists, and we're doing everything we can to break it down. And this event is a really good way of doing that. And for you as careers leaders, it's a really easy one to promote. All you have to do is invite your parental network. We do all the organizations. We get these exhibitors together. It's online. It's after school. We make it as easy for you as possible for this one. We also run our generation events. So generation events are regional careers fairs. Since 2020, we've had over 12,715 young people and parents attend these careers fairs. And that's actually much higher now, because that was of December 2024. So we're probably looking around 16,000 now. I need to get that updated, and I will. But generation events are, as I say, regional careers fairs. So we provide funded coaches for your schools. We recommend that you target your most disadvantaged students from year 10 up and bring them along to these regional careers fairs. They do vary in size depending on the venue size. So the largest is at 80 exhibitors, and the smallest is 35, 40 exhibitors. It does vary slightly depending on the venue capacity. Really good events, and strongly recommend as well getting along as careers leaders and tapping into those employers, because those employers are your target audience. They're already engaged in careers. They're already giving up their time to help support your young people, help inspire them into their next future talent for their industries, for their organizations. So they're gold. Come along, network, get the contacts. So as I say, we will coach in your most disadvantaged students at different times throughout the day. And then at each generation event, there's also what we call the twilight session. That runs from 3:30 to 5. And that's open to all of your sixth form students, to any students who couldn't come along during the day, to parents, and to anyone else in your network. Bring along your cats, bring along your dogs, bring everybody. But we do ask that you register on HOP. It is free to attend, but we ask that you register so we know how many people are coming. So keep an eye out for the invites for generation events. They are really good, and they're becoming a bit of a brand in Hertfordshire by themselves. This is the Hertfordshire Skills Framework. This was made in partnership with Service for Young People and the then Hertfordshire LEP, which is now Hertfordshire Futures. And essentially, we surveyed a lot of employers in Hertfordshire and asked them what they valued in their early talent. And these are the skills that they highlighted as being most important. So it's things like motivation and ambition, confidence, respect and good manners, determination, resilience, adaptability, teamwork, numeracy, literacy, business customer awareness, analytical and problem-solving skills, digital technology, and then qualifications. So all of those soft skills are more valued than qualifications, which, sitting in educational institutions can be a bitter pill to swallow, but that is what employers in Hertfordshire are telling us. These soft skills are more valued than qualifications, because you can put people for qualifications, but it's hard to teach them soft skills. That's where your careers programs have to come in. You have to be thinking about these skills that the young people need to get into the careers that they want. Now, provider access legislation. So this is a legislation. It does have teeth. It's a bolt-on to the Baker Clause. came in 2018, sorry, does have teeth. So failure to comply can result in being downgraded at Ofsted and a financial fine. And what the legislation sets out is that schools must have at least 6 encounters for all students with technical pathway providers. So that's apprenticeships, T-levels, MVQs. So your alternative technical education. And they need 2 encounters in year 8, year 9, 2 encounters in year 10, year 11, 2 encounters in 12 and 13. But worth noting, 12 and 13, it's mandatory for the school to put on, but optional for the students to attend. So our mission as the hub, as the Careers and Enterprise Company, to inspire young people in the fast-changing world of work, to strengthen links between education and employment, help Hertfordshire young people be more work ready, to get Hertfordshire working, to raise the profile of careers education in schools by backing the Gatsby benchmarks, and to raise aspirations among young people and help every young person find their best next step. So some key dates for your diaries. So National Apprenticeship Week has just passed. Next year, 2027, it's going to be on the 25th of April. National Careers Week coming up next week, the 2nd of March. And International Women's Day is the 8th of March this year. So make sure that you're planning those into your careers programs. So if of interest, have a look at the TEC resource directory, familiarize yourselves with the resources on there. There are thousands of resources available. You can filter by benchmark, you can filter by sector, you can filter by everything. Have a look on there. As I say, there are resources out there for anything that you're trying to achieve. Have a look on HOP, go through the resources for career leaders on there, have a play around with Careers Coach, have a look at the Gatsby benchmark resources on HOP. Engage with the Careers Leader induction on the Careers and Enterprise Company website. So this is a crash course in all things Careers Leader. It takes about 4 hours, 2 to 4 hours. You can pick it up and put it down, do it in your own time. It saves where you are. Strongly recommend going through that, especially if you're not a trainee careers leader. If you're new to careers, it's a crash course in everything careers leader. And if you are an experienced careers leader, it's also a really good refresh and a good way to see what has changed. Also, with the requirement for Benchmark 1 to have a trained careers leader, if you don't have the qualification, if you complete this training, express an interest in the level 6 or level 7 and follow through with that next year, then you can count yourself as fully trained for Benchmark 1 this year. So, going to do a quick quiz now, just to make sure you are paying attention. So, what does EC stand for? What does EC stand for? Enterprise Coordinator. So that they're members from my team, and they'll meet with you once per term and support you with your careers program. And they're also there to help manage that Enterprise Advisor network and help you engage with employers locally. What is Gatsby Benchmark 4? What is Gatsby Benchmark 4? So it's careers in the curriculum, or linking curriculum to careers. That's possibly the hardest hit with the new changes. So it's gone across all subject areas now, across all year groups and staff CPD as well. So that's Gatsby Benchmark 4, linking curriculum in careers. So how many Gatsby benchmarks in Hertfordshire are we currently hitting out of 8? How many benchmarks Hertfordshire hitting out of 8? Now, there are 2 answers I'd accept here. So there is 6.6 in July on the old Gatsby benchmark questions. And currently we're on 3 out of 8 as of December. And I'm hoping we'll improve upon that. as I say, we're ahead of the curve nationally, which is where we want to be, and we're always going to try and be there. So can you name the role of an enterprise advisor? Can you name the role of an EA? So any of these would be accepted. So champion, critical friend, strategic input, business expert, employee connector. Roughly how long does Compass update or audit take? How long does Compass update take? 30 minutes, but with the new Compass questions, we're looking more 30, 45 minutes. And can you name a skill from the Hertfordshire Skills Framework? Name a skill from the Hertfordshire Skills Framework. So any of these on screen would have been acceptable. This is a really good framework. Go onto Hop, download it, free to use, put it up in your careers boards, use it in lessons. However you want to use it, it's there. It's really, really powerful, and it's actual real word from local employers in Hertfordshire. So I just want to say good luck in your new role. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for supporting the young people in schools. We're here to support you. So if you need any support, please reach out to myself, reach out to your enterprise coordinator, and we'll do whatever we can to support. So thank you very much for your time. Have a good rest of your day.